time for another go round in SDH AM. I hear you there. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. And it's going to be packed and inverted. Let me give you the next couple of days. Tomorrow's going to be packed, and I mean packed. Packed. It is going to be scheduled. Chris Doran, the play-by-play voice of the Columbus Crew. We'll see if we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. 10 o'clock, it's going to be our visit from our friends at Apple TV, and it's going to be Evan Weston, who is going to be joining us. He has the responsibilities, or half the responsibilities, of St. Louis City SC in San Diego. So we'll catch up with Evan at 10 o'clock. Then in the 11 o'clock and the 10 o'clock hour after Evan, catching up with Ryan Feigert, the play-by-play voice of FC Dallas, and Ted Ramey, the play-by-play voice of San Jose Earthquakes, for our opposition research as we get you ready for Atlanta United and San Jose. On the domestic side of things, tomorrow it is going to be Maddie and me at West Forsyth and Lambert. That is 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, I believe, off the top of my head. So we'll be there for that, for our high school soccer coverage presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, and we could not do it without them. And then after Friday, Saturday, it is going to be at 6:30, where Maddie and I are going to be in charge of both Five Stripes Countdown and the full-time report on 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. I believe Atlanta United is leaving later today, hopefully getting out of this weather, or the weather passes by the time they get out, heading to San Jose. So they'll be out west. So Maddie and I will start things off at 6:30. Mike and Jason will be at PayPal Park in San Jose. They will have the call for you, and then it will be us with the full-time report after that. And then it is New England Revolution 2 and Atlanta United 2 on the network Sunday night at 8 o'clock. The twos are back at it. We have our ref assignments. It's officially official, and it is an opportunity for us to once again bring you, as the home of Atlanta United 2 soccer, the 2026 season for MLS Next Pro. Maddie's going to have the call for that. I'll have your pregame, and I'll have your halftime. We'll look back at the weekend that was and kind of get you ready for everything going on in the weekend that will be when it comes to Atlanta United 2. So that's going to be a packed weekend upon packed weekends, but that really shouldn't surprise you this time of year. So once again, today is today. Rundown's kind of inverted. Max Anderson, play-by-play voice of Chicago Fire, joining us at 9:30. Then it's Around the World in 60 Minutes with Nino and Nico. Then tomorrow, once again, Chris Doran from Columbus Crew. Hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. Evan Weston from Apple TV. Ryan Feigert from FC Dallas. Ted Ramey from the San Jose Earthquakes. That's tomorrow. So we're packed. Packed upon packed. That's where we are. And, and Abby, yes, we did. We did see the sponsorship, and it has been reported in a couple of different circles. It is a 7-year deal for $28 million for the Duck to be across Team 17 in the NWSL. That was announced yesterday at NWSL Atlanta 2028, Team 17. It's going to be right there. The Duck, Aflac, out of Columbus, is going to be part and parcel to the front of your jerseys, and get them now. So that's where we are. Big news yesterday, and that's a statement. Literally, you are 2 seasons away from having a team on the pitch at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and you've already got the Duck across the front of your jersey. Big statement for Atlanta United. All right, so as I say, we're going to kind of invert things today. We're going to get into news and stuff that happened last night, get you ready for everything. Max Anderson joining us in about 20 minutes. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and Kickoff Coffee. Wow, John, force a habit. Wrong coffee. Opening kickoff brought to you by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Start your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee is a part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Ricky, we have not talked about the MLS Next Pro broadcast deal. That's kind of what we'll get into here in the first half hour and at the tail end of hour number 1, and probably in added time. My biggest question is how many folks are going to have OneFootball as a default? I mean, I already have the app on my phone, and I have it as a source for information. but how many of us are going to instantaneously draw over to one football? So we'll get into that in a bit. Okay, last night in CONCACAF, and I'm bringing this up for a reason. Last night in CONCACAF, it was kind of dicey at points for some, not dicey at all for others. And what I mean by that is there was one result that was completely and totally just out of control. Galaxy and San Miguelito was not it. But because of the away goal from Joseph Paintsil, LAG advances in a goalless draw with San Miguelito. They were the late game last night. My apologies to Dylan Butler for sitting on the desk for that one. Before that one, Vancouver took care of business. They beat Cartagines 2-0. They advance. It's Cascadia with Seattle in the next round. The match that I want to get into is FC Cincinnati and O&M, which I swear sounds like someplace that you're buying handbags or gear. Universidad O&M was a plus 4,500 underdog going into the match last night. And understandably so. Since the FC Cincinnati went on the road, put up a number, and it was up to O&M to come up with a response at TQL Stadium last night. They could not. After the match, it was divulged by O&M coach Jose Aparicio. He understood, that they are far off from being able to compete with teams like FC Cincinnati. He gets it. He only had 14 outfield players able to travel because of visa issues. 14 outfield players. They also had to play most of their match without their captain. Angel Melo exited in the 7th minute due to injury. Hector Ramirez picked up a red in the 82nd, but it was already 8-0 at that point. And it was a moment for the youth players and the academy players and the homegrowns that were part of the development for FC Cincinnati. You knew it was going to be a rotated roster. You knew it was going to be a rotated 11 going into that one. And so you end up with Obina Wobodo getting 3 assists. In a 9-0 win over O&M, 8 players aged 22 and younger contributed. Cincinnati got their spot in the round of 16, 13-0 in the aggregate in the first round series. They get Tigres, second straight year. They get to host them on March the 12th at TQL before going to Tigres a week later. Heavily rotated lineup, no real surprise. Mostly reserves. 4 players making starts for the first time this year. Steven Jimenez, Kenji Bombadem, Alvis Powell, and Evan Loro. 5 former academy players got minutes. 3 of those homegrowns, Jimenez, Stefan Chirilla, and Ademar Chavez, got their first goals. Dado Valenzuela and Andre Chirilla, an FCC2 player who came through the academy, made his debut last week, were among the starters. Draft picks Bombadem and Ayub Lihar from 26 got their firsts. Bombadem getting his first 2 goals for FC Cincinnati. Lihar got his club debut and got 2 assists. Obviously, Pat Noonan is going to say that, that it was pleasing with the approach and having all those young players compete. But you end up with 4 goals in the first half and 5 in the second. But I think the larger thing to think about here is, other than the gulf that can exist in these matchups, the fact that O&M only could get, because of visa issues, what they were, I don't know. The fact that you can only have 14 position players available to you in a reverse fixture in a tournament like this. Like I said, I don't know what the cause of the visa problems is. But I would hope, and there were other thoughts on social media about, well, we need to have CONCACAF League back and intermediate competition and that kind of a thing. I don't think that's necessarily the case, because then once again, you're adding matches to schedules and things like that. And if there's a team in Major League Soccer or in the CPL, in the Can Premier, that would not be in the Triple C, the CONCACAF Champions Cup as we see it, then they would be in this CONCACAF Leagues tournament, and then they would still be getting, would the level of competition fit what you're looking for Major League Soccer and for the Canadian Premier League and for Liga MX. I think the larger issue here is the logistics that are attached to the problem. I don't think it's adding another competition for those clubs that you feel, quote, may not be ready, end quote, to take on the higher level competition. I don't think that you can see where you are, as Coach Aparicio mentioned, without having these kinds of matches. But I think the larger issue is the logistics element of it. What was the visa problem? What were they? Could other agencies outside of the club have helped out to expedite this matter to where you're at least got a puncher's chance, where 14 position players, backup keeper, you lose your captain, you have to make a sub, and then you end up with a red card. So I would hope that this matchup with O&M and FC Cincinnati is a reminder to the Confederation office when someone knocks on your door. And like I said, I don't know if O&M did, but I would imagine maybe the Confederation could be a little more proactive. Hey, do you need anything? Yeah, well, we'd like to have, a traveling party of 25. Okay, what can we do to help you out? I mean, when the bracket is open, then you know that these dates are there. Hey, what help do you need? Proactivity would be just a thought from me in this case, so you don't necessarily have a 13-0 two-legged opening rounder like this. And I was looking at the highlights, and it's going 6-0, 7-0. I'm like, oh, no. But then Coach Aparicio said what he said last night, and so it's like, okay, proactivity here, I'm hoping in the future would help out these clubs that aren't familiar with these situations. Hey, this is our first time here in a long time. What do we need to do? Phone call to the Confederation. Confederation says, okay, tell you what, we'll help you out with this, and this. We'll kind of expedite things so you can compete and represent your league and your country and your supporters the way that you feel you should. Like I said, I don't know how many O&M supporters made the trip to TQL. I don't. But seeing a 13-0 composite is not really something that you want to see out there. And so just going forward, I would ask, if you've got a minnow like this that needs a little help, just take a step forward, give them a buzz, and go, hey, what do you need? Like I said, I don't know what the root of the visa issues are, but I'm thinking maybe some help from some higher places would have helped in this matter. That's my conjecture, but that's just my thought here in the morning. So just these clubs can't advance if they don't have opportunities to learn. I don't think a CONCACAF league tournament is a way for them to learn. Triple C is a way for them to learn, and I'm thinking that you might have learned just as much off the field and logistics than you did about on the field and getting thumped in Cincinnati. So, like I said, that's my soapbox there this morning. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Philadelphia Union and Defense Force, who really didn't show a whole lot of defense last time out. Their defense was not a force. They're an underdog tonight in Chester at a plus 2,500. Union are a minus 1,250 going into this matchup because Philadelphia went to Defense Force and put up a number last time out. And it was, 5. So Philadelphia put 5 on Defense Force. Their defense was not a force, maybe needs a force field in this case, but they're down 5. And Philadelphia, if they hang on to this 5-goal advantage, they get Club America. Thanks for dropping by. So your matchups heading into the next phase in the round of 8s, Toluca, San Diego FC, that one we know. Mount Pleasant and LAG. LAG, man, LAG got a bracket. They really did. Getting past San Miguelito, and then they get Mount Pleasant. Cruz Azul and Monterrey. Cruz Azul 8-0 over Vancouver FC. Monterrey 3-1 over Chelaju. Alajuelense had been preceded. They're going to get LAFC, so LAFC now gets to go from Honduras and back to Costa Rica and back. And then you got Messi and friends in Nashville in the upper right-hand corner. Nashville beat Atletico Ottawa 7-0 in the aggregate. Club America 2-1 winners over Olympia. They're waiting for Philadelphia. Tigres and FC Cincinnati, and you get Cascadia with Seattle and Vancouver. We'll discuss that a little bit more when Niko Moreno joins us from the last half hour of the show this morning. So that's your rundown of what happened in CONCACAF. We'll get into, obviously, the Champions League a little more when Nino Torres joins us at the top of the hour. But now we get to wait until very, very early tomorrow morning to figure out what our next round of matchups are. Yesterday, Juve over Galatasaray in extra time, but the goals for Galatasaray were enough. Victor Osimhen coming in and Kenan Yildiz coming in and scoring north of 90 minutes. They had to play the extra 30. Galatasaray advances. PSG and Monaco had a 2-2 draw. PSG advances. Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr. scores. They beat Benfica 2-1. Real Madrid continues through. And then probably the chaos of the day was Atalanta and Dortmund. Down 3-0. They come back to tie it in the aggregate. Win 4-1 on the day and advance. Atalanta advances. Real Madrid advances. PSG advances. Galatasaray advances. And so that's where you are with Champions League. Getting into the news, notes, and numbers for Europa, all 8 matchups are today, 12:45 and 3. Red Star and Lille. Lille favored on the road at +145. Red Star +179. Ferencvaros and our friend Stephen Glass, they are going to be going at it with Ludogorets. And that one in the juice boxes is Ferencvaros, big favorite at a -164. Ludogorets on the road is a +450. Victoria Pilsen, even money +100, hosting Panathinaikos. Stuttgart, a big favorite on the road against Celtic. At home against Celtic. Celtic on the road is a +550. 3 o'clock. Bologna, big favorite at home against Braun. Celta de Vigo, big favorite at home against PAOK. Genk is a +138, hosting Dinamo Zagreb, who's a +200. And Forest is a -172, hosting Fenerbahce. So you've got that to stare at in Europa League. So I need my full scoreboard here just to get the composites so we can keep an eye on things. Ludogorets leads 2-1 in the aggregate in their matchup with Ferencvaros. Red Star leads Lille 1-0 in the aggregate. Stuttgart 4-1 on the aggregate. So they should be able to handle things at MHP Arena in Stuttgart. And Victoria Pilsen and Panathinaikos are tied in the aggregate. Bologna leads 1-0 in the aggregate in theirs. Celta de Vigo 2-1 in the aggregate against theirs. Forest leading 3-0 against Fenerbahce against theirs. And Genk leading 3-1 in the aggregate in theirs. Now, Conference League. We'll get into the numbers here quickly. Once again, you can see all of this stuff on Paramount Plus. And they probably have the Golazo shows up and running. So easiest way would be probably just to catch up with them. 4 at 12:45, 4 at 3 o'clock. Celje, big favorite at home against Drita at a -278. Fiorentina favored at home at a -200 against Jagiellonia Białystok of the Polish League. Rijeka +125 hosting Omonia Cyprus. Samsunspor, big favorite at home against Shkengia at a +800. 3 o'clockers, AZ Alkmaar -345 hosting Noah and Noah's friends, I would imagine. Crystal Palace, big favorite at home at a -667. Zrinski is a +1600. Keep an eye on that one. For obvious reasons, we keep talking about Oliver Glasner and the strife in the locker room. We'll find out what happens there. Lausanne, favorite on the plus side, a +104, hosting Sigma Olomouc and Lech Poznan. Big favorite at a -476, hosting KUPS. Your aggregates. Fiorentina leads by 3. Celje leads 3-2 in aggregate for this matchup in Slovenia. Rijeka in Croatia leads Omonia Nicosia, the Cyprus club, 1-0. Samsunspor leads 1-0 in the aggregate in theirs for the matchup in Turkey. AZ Alkmaar is trailing at home to Noah. Noah leads 1-0 in the aggregate. This one is at the AFAS Stadion in Alkmaar, the Netherlands. Crystal Palace, Zrinski Mostar tied at Selhurst Park. Lausanne, Sigma Olomouc tied, and Lech Poznan leading KUPS by the score of 2-0 in the aggregate. The reverse fixture is in Poznan, Poland at the Municipal Stadium. So that's your quick rundown of everything. Like I said, just watch Golazo. You'll get all 16 matchups at some point. You'll get the 8 at 12:45. You'll get the 8 at 3 o'clock. and you'll get everything laid out for you. Champions League draw, bright and early. We won't even be awake, but we'll find out what's going on with the Champions League draw. That'll be part of the show tomorrow. So we'll get into that as we go here. Max Anderson from the Fire coming up here in a couple of minutes. Another couple of things in gossip, rumor, innuendo, news, and all that kind of stuff. Real Madrid made an inquiry about Arsenal center back Gabriel Magalhaes. Chelsea remaining confident they can sign Villa midfielder Morgan Rogers. Figure likely it's going to have to combat is £100 million, which is what they had to get from Manchester City for Grealish in 2021. Spurs and Arsenal face competition from Inter Milan on Leon Goretzka. Manchester United monitoring the situation of Villarreal's Papa Gay, according to Foot Mercato. Liverpool, City, Newcastle, Brighton, Brentford have all checked in on Nnamdi Collins, the right back from Eintracht Frankfurt. Similarities to Ben White. Other rumors, quickly. Brighton could drop their valuation for Carlos Baleba from over £100 million to around 70, with interest from Manchester United. Casemiro wants to keep playing in Europe when he leaves Manchester United. 3-letter paper. Manchester City and Arsenal closely monitoring versatile Brighton midfielder Jack Hinchelwood. Liverpool, Arsenal, United have watched Sean Steuer, the 18-year-old Ajax midfielder, in recent weeks. Marcus Thuram could leave Inter Milan during the summer window, according to Nicolo Schira. Several foreign clubs have approached Marc Casado, but the midfielder is closer to extending his deal with Barcelona. Once again, Schira. Atletico de Madrid have included Fabio Silva from Dortmund on their short list of possible replacements for Julian Alvarez if he leaves in the summer. That's from Rudy Galletti. Spurs want to move for Dean Henderson in the summer as they prepare to lose Guillermo Vicario in net. Palace view signing a replacement for Mark Gahey a priority during the summer transfer window. Maybe they should have done that before the summer transfer window as a priority. Premier League clubs and top European clubs are tracking Brentford keeper Matthew Cox's impressive form on loan in Shrewsbury in League Two. So that's your gossip, rumor, and your innuendo for the morning. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it from our friends at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important because it helps them, it helps us, and it helps you by adding more matches to everything you've already been watching. Fanati's, you get all the BNs, which means you get everything in South America. When it comes to Libertadores, you get AFCON, you get the Polish League, the French League, you get the Turkish League, and you get ties to Tigo Sports and CATV. All of that plus CDO for the fans, TVV if you're interested in Argentina. You get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. So a lot of the South American divisions, A divisions, and B divisions in country, you can get that to add to all your stacks. Once again, at Fanati's at fntz.co/soccer down here. You get Say Sports as well. One subscription, one home. Today, you get the Recopa Sudamericana, the second leg on BN at 7:30, Flamengo and Lanús. CBS Sports Network, Europa League, Stuttgart and Celtic at 12:45, Nottingham Forest, Fenerbahce at 3. Triple C's on FS1 at 7 o'clock with Philadelphia Union and Defense Force. The U20 championship is still going on. They're still in group stage. We are still efforting Isaiah Vicente from the Puerto Rico U20s. We're keeping an eye on that. Matchup tonight at 8 o'clock on FS2. It is BN Espanol simulcasting. Today, Stuttgart Celtic, Nottingham Forest, Fenerbahce, and simulcasting CONCACAF. Unimas, Europa League simulcasting Nottingham Forest. Fox O&E simulcasting CONCACAF Champions Cup. Fox Soccer Plus has the U20s with matchups at noon, 5 and 7. With the league we don't talk about at 2 o'clock. Paramount has everything Europa League, everything Conference League, and that's your Thursday. Okay, now we go to Chicago. We find out what in the wide world of sports is going on with the Chicago Fire. And the man with the flint, or maybe the two rocks that he's going to bang together and find out what's going on, he is our oracle up there. Max Anderson, play-by-play voice of the Fire, dropping by here this morning. Max Anderson, what up?
Mr. John, how are you, sir? Happy MLS soccer season.
You ain't kidding, brother. I'm digging the fireplace behind you.
Thank you.
It is not up and running this morning, which means that hopefully, and you've obviously got power, so that's obviously a good thing. So you don't have to have the fireplace running. Is the heat working? Heat's good?
Yeah, we're all good here. In fact, it's supposed to be 60 degrees on Friday. Home opener on Saturday, maybe more towards the 40s, unfortunately, but it's been a chaotic winter for sure.
All right, so how chaotic has it been? Since you asked that question, I'll go ahead and ask it back. How chaotic has it been, sir? It's like match game all of a sudden.
You know, I think it was interesting because there were times last year I thought the Fire certainly played worse, and you didn't hear as harsh comments from Greg Berhalter after the game, but he was direct after the game. He was not happy with what happened in the 2-1 loss to Houston. Felt like they didn't have an edge in the second half. First half, I mean, we were talking at halftime. It was as good of a first half as we saw from the Fire at any point last season. And then I don't know if it was the combination of the guys that were out or simply just kind of losing their legs in the first game. Just didn't have it in the second half, and Houston did have it at home and got a little jump from the home crowd. So I think frustrating way to start. I think Fire fans saw what they wanted to see and thought they were going to see in that first half, but then it just did not translate to that second half.
Okay, the absences I know included Andrew Gutman and Jonathan Bamba. For those
Jack
of us,
Elliott as well, don't forget.
right? And so when you don't have those three, how did it look with what Greg Berhalter had available to him, if I could get my upper plate to work? Without those three, how did the starting 11 look, and how did they respond to one another?
Yeah, it got shifted around, right? You saw Zinkernagel really start the game more on the left, which we didn't see much at all last year. The plan coming into the year was for him to play a little bit more centrally this season, with Brian Gutierrez departing, Anton Saletros, a little bit more of that holding midfield. What it looked like was some new pieces coming together, right? I mentioned Saletros, Robin Lod, the longtime Minnesota United all-star just a couple of years ago. And then Mbigazeli and Bawazi in the back end, right? So you had three international players playing their first MLS minutes. I think there were, excuse me, not Robin Lod, obviously, but between Saletros, Mbigazeli, and then DJ Johnny that came in later. And it looked like they were still learning the ropes of the MLS. A couple of times, maybe they thought some fouls that aren't fouls in the MLS, right? They're coming from different games abroad. So there's always that adjustment period when you get players from outside the MLS getting used to each other. So I think at the end of the day, you highlighted some of the injuries. Ultimately, even Jonathan Dean, while maybe not considered a starter every game, would have been a starter in that game, and he was also out. So they got to the point where Sam Rogers felt something in the second half, and they were down to their fourth and fifth center backs in game one. Never a great sign, right?
No.
So it was just a combination of things, and it's game one on the road. Don't want to overthink it too much. But it was interesting to hear Greg Berhalter as harsh as he was after the game.
It's a match where Hugo Kuipers gets the first goal, and you end up with a 1-0 lead after 30. And then it was stuff at the back. There was the great pass that ended up with an equalizer that goes through a couple of lines and ends up with Guillerme's first, and then Guillerme ends up with his second, cleaning up after a quick parry and a save that Chris Brady can't hang on to. When you look at that first 45 and the second 45, outside of those individuals that were there and weren't there, what's kind of stuck out to you now that you've had a couple of days to think about them?
I think what was interesting was, as much as anything, Philip Zinkernagel in a very different role. And I apologize, this entire interview here, I got a couple of dogs here that are
we are a pet friendly environment, and they are as much associate producers as anybody else. As a matter of fact, the rowdy man doesn't want anything to do with the rain, and he is down. Yes.
Well, that's Ruby behind me, and then I've got Olive by my feet right now, so I apologize. But
okay,
two-dog household here. Mm-hmm. But Philip Zinkernagel, I think, was still getting used to playing a little bit different role than what he did last year, especially with some of the absences. I think he was being asked to do a little bit more in possession, which wasn't necessarily what he was doing as much of last year. He was able to be more creative, play more off the ball. And then the combination of him and Kuipers, as we know, was lethal last year, right? 32 goals between them. It really was a potent combination. I think ultimately it was a lot of new pieces. And then, Greg talked about it in his post-game press conference. He thought, we can't come out and play average soccer and think we can win in this league because we played below average soccer. And he was blunt about it. And like I said at the open, so I think it was a good wake-up call after what was a good preseason, right? It really, really nice down in Florida and then out in Coachella. All three of the key names you mentioned, between Bamba, Jack Elliott, and Andrew Gutman, were all back at practice. I think Gutman was more limited from what I saw from reporting, but does sound like they should get some pieces back this weekend, a home opener against a still very struggling Montreal team.
Yeah, we will get into that one coming up in just a sec. The new faces that came in here for 26, and some of them are logistical new faces, even though they're coming in from other places. One of the folks that has been of interest to me specifically is Jason Shukaluk. And since we are the home of the twos, we get to see, MLS Next Pro up front and center, and we get to see development and players coming up from MLS Next Pro to become MLS soccer ready. When you look at someone like Jason, what are you thinking would be a successful year for him? He lit MLS Next Pro on fire and basically just decided it's like, yep, I'm ready for my next step. What is your expectation for someone who was as prolific as he was in Next Pro now coming up to play with the first team?
I think that answer really depends on what the Fire do in the summer. They still have the open DP spot. The Robert Lewandowski talk has not quieted down in any media circles. So I'm going to hedge this answer with it really depends what happens this summer. So if I get clipped here, I want that to be clear.
We play full sound bites, brother. We don't clip.
But what is interesting about Shukaluk is obviously his scoring prowess last year, right? Golden Boot winner, signed the first team contract. The piece I think would have been more open for him if not for Chris Mueller coming back as well. And I know the club really trusts him, and they think, and I think he'll end up playing some of that Tom Barlow chaser role a little bit later on in games. Depth also matters. Ugo Kuipers was incredibly reliable last year, but we're, a year-to-year league in terms of injuries and everything. So knock on wood, he survived. So all that to say, I think there are people that are excited, and I do think he'll get some time, especially in attacking moments when they want to put more on the field early on. I think barring injuries, it's going to be tough for him to get a lot of minutes from what I've seen so far, but reports out from Coachella were that he had a really nice preseason. The coaching staff seems to really like him, and his scoring prowess is pretty well known. So he'll get his opportunities. What he does with those opportunities is going to dictate, frankly, how much more opportunities you get, because it's not wide open for him at the moment.
Yeah, cause and effect. So since you mentioned Lewandowski, I'll go ahead and go down into that section of the pool. How serious? I mean, are we like serious, or is this just still kind of kicking tires on something?
So, John, I'm going to disappoint your audience. I'm not that much of an insider when it comes to the sporting front office. Right. I do know some people around the team, and certainly reading kind of what's being said, it seems to be serious.
Okay.
Ultimately, getting somebody like Lewandowski, who still has a lot of wiggle left in his career, frankly, from what I've seen, what he's doing at Barcelona,
right.
It's a challenge, right? It's a long process. We saw it with De Bruyne last summer, how close the Fire got, and apparently that was very close, like very, very close. So, I know there's some familial decisions. Beyond that, I know it's a pursuit that's happening from all reporting that I've seen. I know, kind of, unfortunately, nothing more than that at this point, but I think they have an open DP slot, and it seems like Greg has been taking a swing at that spot for another big landing piece.
Okay, and so then currently right now you're 2-4, right? So it's just basically flipping one of the U22s into Garber Bucks, right?
Yeah, I'm not a roster sicko. I rely on a couple other people for that. From what I understand, that there's some easy moves that they could make to make a switch there. But beyond that, the roster thing in the MLS is still something after 4 seasons of following it closely that I'm nowhere near an expert in.
That's why I defer to others too.
Exactly.
So all things being equal, let me ask you this. All things being equal, everybody being healthy, the names that you mentioned, the starting 11 of starting 11s in neon as it's supposed to be. For what Greg Berhalter wants to do to be successful by the end of 90 minutes, I don't want to know about the star power. I want to know about those integral pieces. Who do you think the integral pieces are that don't get a whole lot of spotlight for this overall success of Chicago Fire? Who would those folks be when it comes to putting the puzzle pieces together for the success of the Fire? Who are those second level dudes?
I think it's going to be defensively. This team is going to score, right? Greg Berhalter came in this league. They set a club record last year for goals, second in the whole league. They could score. The problem last year was defensively, right? And could they keep the ball out of the net? And so the hype around Mbawazi is real. From what I saw for 90 minutes in his first action, totally see why everybody's excited, see why South African fans think he's going to end up in the Premier League and be, a superstar. I see the writing on the wall there. I could see where this could be a short stint in MLS. A lot to prove still, 90 minutes only, but I see what everybody saw. That's one guy. Anton Saletros is a really interesting piece that they brought in. They reshaped the midfield. Obviously, Brian Gutierrez leaving. Kellen Costa didn't play much, last year anyways, but he's also left. And they really changed the shape with Lud coming in, but also Saletros, who's going to be that guy with Jay Davila that's going to control the middle of the pitch. So those are the three guys, the triangle, kind of in the middle of the field between Davila and Saletros in that holding midfield, and how Mbawazi can hold up in his first MLS season next to Jack Elliott. They have, like we talked about, some depth in the middle, in that middle area. Mauricio Pineda is still a fire player. They have some pieces that can play in the middle. But what those three do, Saletros, Mbawazi, and Davila, that triangle in the middle, I think is going to tell you a lot about where this fire season can go.
Okay. I do want to ask about the stadium project coming up as we go, but I want to go first to CF Montreal. And there are times when you look at them on the field, and to say that they are a dumpster fire might be insulting to dumpsters. And it's at the same time, you can't take them for granted, because they will come up and bite you if you kind of sit there and it's just like, it's CF Montreal, blah, blah, blah. When you went out to practice yesterday, what are your early vibes about Study Hall getting ready for this one on the weekend?
So like you said, right, every team wins 5, 6, 7 games a season at least, right? So,
right.
So they are going to win games. I don't think we've ever seen a defeated MLS season. Someone can correct me, but I don't think we have.
Yeah.
So they are going to win games.
Yeah.
And they, like you said, they can beat you. And that's one of the things we talk about in the MLS all the time is, as bad as Kansas City even seems like they're going to be, and all the, restructuring they're doing, they're going to win a couple games. So to your point, you have to come in focused. You don't necessarily have that winter advantage that you should have in Chicago on a Saturday, given Montreal's coming in. But you do have an advantage, and you should be getting some guys back in your home opener. And I do expect that they'll look better. I think things will look a little bit closer to that first half for a full game after they've had a chance this week to work on some things. And I do expect them to come out with a result, a winning result at that. But like you said, anything can happen on a Saturday in the MLS, and certainly we'll see what the weather conditions end up being. Like I said, looking like 40s, but I haven't checked the wind yet, and that can always change things on the lakefront at Soldier Field.
Oh, you ain't kidding. I mean, seriously, for those who've never been to Soldier Field, and I guess this is my pseudo transition into the new stadium project question, how would you describe the wild card that Soldier Field can be when it comes to a game in Major League Soccer? Because we've seen goals that have been like massive 19-yard left to right swings if it gets caught up in the breeze. I mean, how much of a wild card and an intangible can Soldier Field become on a game day?
Well, it was Kellen Acosta against Montreal on St. Patrick's Day a couple of years ago, one of the wilder MLS goals of all time, right? So certainly things can happen. I think Soldier Field, first of all, as a lifelong Chicagoan, season Bears ticket holder, grew up a Fire fan in my youth, and then focused more on American football in my adolescence. But a special place on the lakefront. It's a special setting. The stadium, it needs some work. As someone who goes there all the time for professional and personal purposes, I understand why the Bears are looking. But it's an awesome venue right on the lakefront. If you have a choice to go to a road city, we know the history of Wrigley and USL, or guaranteed rate, excuse me, and what that brings.
It's Comiskey. They ain't paying you.
Fair. What Comiskey and Wrigley bring to the summertime in Chicago, and the types of trips people like to take. Soldier Field's another one of those. If you're thinking about, hey, I want to visit an MLS city, and you haven't had a chance to come to Chicago, especially if you get a game against the Fire in May, or in this case, probably not till late July, especially those summer games, strongly recommended. The pitch itself is a FOOTBALL pitch, right? It is designed for American football over football, right? So it's a little bit tighter quarters on the sides at times, but overall, the historical stereotypes about the turf at Soldier Field have been much better over the last 5 to 6 years. Since the last Bears general manager came in and really kind of took control with the Park District, that's changed a good amount from what the historical norm of Soldier Field has been. But they ended up getting a I think, pretty close to leading the league in attendance in a pretty big stadium. So expect a pretty good turnout for the home opener, and I think it'll be a positive result.
So then the new stadium project, for those that aren't as up on it as you are, explain the differences. And obviously Joe Mansueto wanting his own barn, I get it. So the new stadium project, where is it by comparison geographically, and what is it bringing to the table?
Sure. So geographically, not too far, still in downtown Chicago in an area called the 78, which is like just south of the Loop and a little bit west of the Loop, like southwest edge of the Loop. It's self-funded. I mean, that's a pretty popular topic, is how stadiums are funded these days, especially in Chicago, and always a conversation between the White Sox, the Bears, and what was the Fire, until Joe Mansueto grabbed the bull by the horns and said, I'll just pay for it myself. I don't need the state. So kudos to him for stepping up as a true champion of Chicago and saying, I'm taking this on and doing it. 22,000 seat stadium, from everything I've read. They just opened the Dear Chicago experience, where fans can go and actually experience what suites would look like and what the luxury spaces will look like as they try to, sell towards the new stadium and sell packages. Excuse me. So 22,000 soccer specific stadium, plans to make it multi-use for other things as well, but obviously primarily for the Fire. I don't know if people realize every season since the Fire moved back to Soldier Field, they wait until about mid-May till the NFL releases their schedule, and 3 or 4 games end up getting rescheduled from Soldier Field out to SeatGeek and Preview. So the multitude of reasons why they wanted this to happen. And, since Joe Mansueto bought the team in 2019, has done nothing but invest in it. From, money for DPs to this stadium project, he's really brought back, the financial engine that you need to compete in modern soccer. We're seeing it all around the league. If you're going to build these stadiums, if you're going to get the top players, you got to invest. And that's why the Fire have been in on the likes of Neymar 2 summers ago, De Bruyne this past summer, and maybe Lewandowski now from all public.
I still think 22,000 is too small. That's just me. I think in this day and age, I think you've got to be closer to 30 if you're going to be getting larger soccer events and things like that, especially with how MLS is growing. I digress.
Fair point. Fair point.
So a couple of random questions before we go. Are the Bears going to Indiana, or are they going to stay in Chicago?
No. They'll be in Arlington Heights.
Because, was it Hammond that was kind of sitting there and waving their hand and going, hey, you can come here and everything will be cool.
I could speak more freely on this one as just a Bears fan, right? I do not think that George McCaskey's first move as patriarch of the Bears is to move the Bears to Hammond, Indiana, after his grandfather so desperately wanted to move the team back into Arlington Heights in the 70s. Never happened. They ended up doing multiple deals on the lakefront, but they've been eyeing Arlington Heights property for 2 generations to move the Bears out there. And to think that his first move as patriarch, George McCaskey, is to move the Bears out of the state of Illinois, the pride and joy of Illinois. Until shovels are breaking dirt, and even then, I'm going to say it's a head fake that they're going to Arlington Heights.
Then my last question for you: best pizza place.
I have a hot take on this one. Chicago pizza, I don't think is very good. Deep dish pizza is not the same thing. I don't think that's what you're asking. If that's what you're asking, Giordano's. That's what I've had my entire life. I grew up 3 blocks away from a Giordano's, and when it was pizza night, it was Giordano's. So that was my pizza. But I do love Max and Izzy's out here in Lincoln Park. But New York wins the pizza race. The people that are still fighting that Chicago has better pizza than New York, give that one up. We're the hot dog capital. We're happy to be the hot dog stand on every corner place and the overall food mecca. We don't have pizza. New York can have it.
Now, broadcast plans for you, sir. If you would please cut the promo for us so we can listen to what's going on with you, not just this weekend, but every weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Well, obviously on WLS 890, home of the Chicago Fire English radio broadcast, our 4th season on WLS, and home games simulcasted on Apple TV. So that's always fun. Huge change there. I don't know if that's been a topic on your show or not, John, but the opening of the paywall on Apple TV, no longer having to have the double paywall for the MLS. Huge deal that got worked out. Really excited to see how that drives excitement, especially post Olympic or World Cup break. Assuming the U.S. men's national team can put up an anywhere decent performance, I think it opens up a unique opportunity for the MLS to capture some soccer fever and keep people watching MLS. So I hope they're ready to go on that front. We had 890 WLS here in Chicago, simulcasted for home games. For Fire home games, you can hear me and my new partner Joe Chats on WLS.
Now wait a second. What's the name of the station again?
WLS AM 890.
Whoa! Wait a second. There's a certain delivery that you have to do with the call letters, isn't there?
WLS AM 890.
WLS. Don't you have
to? Of course,
you have to sing it. It's got to come from the diaphragm.
That is the news side of WLS. I forgot that's in the contract. You're right, John. That's on me.
As always, it's great to see you, my friend, and thanks for keeping an eye on our favorite little ball of hate, Johnny Dean from Stratford Academy.
He's gonna be back this weekend. Looking forward to
seeing him. We'll see you soon. I know that two folks either want to go out or two folks want to be fed, and then I know that you're on with your day.
I fed him right before, and now it's time to go out.
Be good. Thanks. We'll see you soon.
All right.
There goes Max Anderson, everybody, play-by-play voice of Chicago Fire. And yes, it is WLS. You have to sing it. It's 890. You have to sing the logo. Okay. Ricky had a couple of questions specifically about Matias Galarza Fonda, however you wish to identify him, and the Cristaldo rumors. So right now, according to, and we'll go with this source, La Página Millonaria, and that is a River Plate-based publication in South America. According to them, and this is as of yesterday, obviously not getting a lot of playing time with River. According to La Página Millonaria and Nadir Hazal, arriving in the U.S., this is the subheader, has already said goodbye to River, traveled to the U.S., agreement with Atlanta United. Like I said, this is La Página Millonaria from Nadir Hazal. And this was yesterday, about the same time yesterday morning. So he has apparently said his goodbyes, if you go with this source, and is headed this way. Arriving on loan till June, obligation to buy valued at $3 million US for 50% of the pass. And once again, the condition being that he plays half the matches with the team will have ahead of the World Cup. So he's got to be in the lineup and ready to go the second he hits the ground running. And so not expected to be available, according to La Página Millonaria, until the home opener. So La Página Millonaria is saying that once again, because of the short time frame and the turnaround, not expected to be available until the third match of the season, which would be next week. Mid-2025, River had paid Tijeras a sum close to $3.5 million to acquire 70% of the pass. Argentine citizenship, didn't occupy a foreign player spot. And then Juan Carlos Portillo arrived from Cordoba. Final number of negotiations around $8.5 million US. 14 matches at River, left-footed, no goals and assists in 778 minutes. And fans apparently remember him at River for the error against Racing in the Clausura that cost them their place in the competition. So that is from La Página Millonaria. Man, it is not working for me this morning. The upper plate is kind of out to lunch. So that is what you're looking at. And it's multiple reports. Depending on sourcing and how many followers, the A-list source, if we go to La Página Millonaria, he's already said his goodbyes, allegedly, heading this way, allegedly, because of timetables, he would not be available because everybody's flying out to San Jose. Obviously, he wouldn't be in and around the roster until the home opener with RSL. So that's the note on Matias Galarza. So the Cristaldo update, once again, this is where in these topics, it is check your sources, check your sources, check your sources, check your numbers, check your sources. And so it is Gremio and Cristaldo. And now, if you go to the likes of Fabio Vargas, who is not a tier 1 source, only just over 2,000 followers. Gremio has agreed on the contract termination with Cristaldo, free agent on the market. expected to join Atlanta United, received offers from Huracan and Racing Club in Argentina. So contract termination confirmed on Cristaldo at Gremio. Then you've got, and I'm sitting here and I'm trying to see, so it would be the Huracan variant in this. So Huracan put forward an offer to pay a portion of the remaining salary and speed up the contract termination. So it depends literally on who you're staring at. Radio Pachola, that is tied to Gremio. And once again, this is before the apparent contract termination. It was looking at Atlanta United, Toronto, Huracan. So depending on who you look at, and if you go by number of followers and sourcing, the Matias Galarza possible transaction seems like it is more widely accepted / reported than the Cristaldo transaction, which right now is just dealing with a contract termination and low-numbered sourcing has Cristaldo heading this way, but also as a part of the discussion with Huracan. So termination of the contract for Cristaldo at Gremio is confirmed, and depending on who you look at, you're kind of like, okay. So it could go one of two ways. And so there is interest in Cristaldo. It appears that there has been a contract termination, but what direction Cristaldo is going, we don't know. Could be MLS, could be Huracan. Matias Galarza, going with a source that has 1 million followers, La Página Millonaria, I have to slow it down to say it, saying that Galarza has already said his goodbyes, heading this way. The numbers that are being reported are fairly static from what we've known in the past. $3 million loan to the end of the fiscal year, 50% of the pass, option to buy if he plays in half the matches. So you're looking at, is that 6 or 7 between now and the end of the first section of the season when it comes to Galarza and the numbers. Jordan's watching from the Wingtips Lounge in Lambert on his way out there. Wow. Airport, flight's delayed out of Lambert. And he's on Southwest. So just get there in one piece. So if it happens, the first one would be against RSL. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So he would have to play in 6 matches if Galarza is the transaction. He would have to play in 6 matches if he's available for either RSL or Philadelphia. And I'm rounding up because it would be either 12 matches or 11. 5.5, you round up to 6. So my guess is the magic number would be 6 for Matias Galarza. If that transaction happens, if it's laid out, 6 of 12, 6 of 11, then there's the option to pick him up. But it's $3 million for 50% of the pass. That has been a static number, and that's where we are. So that's your Cristaldo update. Cristaldo's kind of where Galarza looks like it has more solid footing on an entry point. So that's where we are. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, George, just get out there safe. Okay. So before Nino Damas joins us, let me say hi to everybody this morning. And Jordan's stuck at Lambert. So good morning, Jordan. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Abby. And Timo Werner. Now, we'll get into that with Ted Ramey, and we will have Ted Ramey's interview. That will be airing tomorrow. Ted's the play-by-play voice of San Jose. 9 o'clock last night, Timo Werner came out of the concourse with his bags and his number 11 jersey. So he's officially official. Don't know how many minutes, if any, he would be available for on Saturday. Jeff Galloway. Oh, man. Michael Head reminding us about the passing of Jeff Galloway and what he meant. He was more than just a runner. What he meant to the fabric of the community on a bunch of different fronts. So, obviously, our love to everybody that's attached and knows and loves Jeff Galloway. So, keep an eye on those folks today. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Michael. Morning, Abby. And let's see. Morning, Lokeville. When does the U.S. Cup start for Atlanta? Okay, so we will see when U.S. when all the League Cup stuff and all that happens. Let's see. Abby's in and out today. Alex, Black Pitch Coffee helps you get rid of the smell of pets and cigarettes. Running together. MLS Next Pro broadcast deal. Ricky, okay. Get in to the idea of one football. Morning, David, as well. So one football is now going to be your home of MLS Next Pro. And it's a 1-year deal. And apparently one football is going to have a boatload of stuff. They're going to have a boatload of things. And they even have, you go to onefootball.com and they have One Football TV. And so it's tv.onefootball.com. And so, okay. And a lot of their international stuff is paywalled. So if you wanted to watch, Ukrainian Premier League, you'd have to pay $3 a match. If you want to see Independiente del Valle and Inter Miami, you got to pay $5. So is there anything that's free? Okay, FIFA Plus, they're tapped into FIFA Plus for free. All the MLS Next Pro stuff is free. And so tomorrow at 7 is when they start their season with Messi and Friends 2 and Chicago Fire 2. Morning, Wiley. Welcome in. And so they have the Regionalliga Südwest. So they got the Southwest German Regional League. They've got Ukraine. They have MLS Next Pro. Let's see. They've got Modena and Padova. So it looks like they have regional Italian leagues. Looks like they have the Czech League with the Nike Liga. Jelena and DAC is coming up in 2 days. Slovan. So they have the Slovak League. Okay, so the Slovak League, and it's $3 a match. And literally what they want you to do is they want you to buy in and they want you to go and see things that aren't going to be on like any other place. And they'll charge you and they want to ding you for each match. AFC Women's Asian Cup on Sunday. But yes, all of the matches on MLS Next Pro are free. So that's kind of what we're staring at when it comes to this one. Austrian Bundesliga. So it's Austria, Ukraine, Slovakia, Regional Italy, Serie C, MLS Next Pro, and I'm trying to take a peek. And yes, so the Revs and Atlanta United 2, 8 o'clock Eastern on One Football and at tv.onefootball.com. So that's what we're looking at here. 1-year deal, One Football, MLS Next Pro. But we will have the action for you as everything is rolling in MLS Next Pro with Atlanta United 2, yet another season with us here on the SDH Network. All right, now it is time. It is time. Now, I would stomp my feet and do the Macaulay Culkin waving his hands dance in the hallways like it was on Home Alone if I could get away with it, but I can't because you don't want to see my dance steps. Time to go to Lima, Peru. Check in with Nino Damas. Find out what's going on around the planet because it's time to go fully loaded, and we always start the day with a yellow, yellow, yellow. How you doing?
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Soccer down here, fans. I mean, my voice is not at the best, but I'm here, brother. I'm here.
We can
We're
low
not
gear.
turn it down. We're not turning it down, bro. We're fully low. here, brother. It is what it is, man.
All right. Okay. I don't want to damage the pipes because you gotta make sure that everybody's going to be having the treats of an entire nation are at your fingertips, and we have to make sure that you are there to present them properly to
Yes,
the
sir. Yes,
rest of
sir.
the plant. We have to make sure about that. All right. Now, Nino Damas, I have yet to look at your topics for the day, but what I do wish to discuss to start things off is your topic number one. So we're right there. We are right there, as always. We are right there. When Nino Damas, in all caps, was right, the Gallardo departure episode, man, that has been, and when it popped up on Monday night, we weren't necessarily surprised. The emotion that was attached, was there too, but Gallardo version 2.0 did not go well at River. It did not go well at River at all. Oh, we're frozen. Oh, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. And so let me have him log back in. So let's have him log back in. This is what happens on Thursdays when you're in Lima, Peru, and you find out what's going on. And it is one of those things. It is a lot of South America. It is Germany. It is Peru. It is Libertadores. And then it is World Cup Chronicles. And so that's where we are this morning with Nino. I figured topic number one was going to be about Gallardo because, and it's, it is, let me see, looking at everything from Libertadores to River Plate. Can we do a Gallardo? Can we do a Gallardo? There we go. Okay, yeah. So Gallardo is one. All right. So let me bring him back in and see what's going on.
Yeah,
man. Gallardo, we knew it was coming, but the Gallardo 2.0 did not go well.
no, it did not. No, it did not, Johnny. And well, like I told you a couple of weeks ago, that he was going to walk out on his own terms. He's going to walk away on his own terms, and yes, he did. Yes, he did. He was not going to wait for any committee to evaluate his horrendous season, right? Because when you worst record in the league, worst record in the league. I'm gonna spend $100 million. Yeah, you get a little bit of a responsibility on that, right? And no coach can survive winning 5 games out of 20. It's just unsustainable. It's unsustainable from every single point of view that you can get. And on top of that, they lost their firepower. That's what it hurt the most. This River of Gallardo. When your strikers haven't scored in 14 of the last 20 matches. None of your strikers score a single goal in 14 games. Oh, that kind of it hurts. It hurts. I don't care if you're Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Ancelotti. If your strikers don't score, I mean, what else you can do? What else you can do? Usually you see Gallardo pretty confident on the sidelines, but then he was just like demoralized by how many opportunities were lost, and again, week after week after week, and he was like, right, I can't fix this. I can't do anything on my own. I can't jump in and score the goals for you. And but I props to Gallardo because not many coaches do that. Not many coaches do that. You know what? They just wait for them to get fired. Dude, walk away. Just assume that you're not capable of switching this position, of changing the direction where the ship is going, because it's not going up, it's going down. The ship is sinking. And you just gotta say, all right, thank you for everything. I'm out of here. And this is what.
Any idea on replacements? I heard Kudet was part of the discussion. Do we know who's going to be taking over?
It's gonna be Kudet.
Okay.
All right, it's gonna be Kudet. Usually when the rumors are so strong in Argentina, they get it right, man. They don't mess around. They're not like here in Peru. Oh, this guy's coming. This guy's coming on. No, when they say mention Kudet, and the situation with Kudet is his position on the table in Spain. He's on 14th place. And 14th place, they try to avoid relegation. Just trying to survive in Spain. Yeah, Rio is going. I'm going. And he's gonna go. He's gonna go. And the other candidates, they were not. They were just names because they were River Plate related, right? In the case of Santiago Solari, but he's a technical director for Real Madrid. He's not leaving Real Madrid to go back into the suit and coach River Plate. Even his first love, and they sold him to Madrid and all that. But the latest experiences of Santiago Solari as a head coach, they were not that pretty. Okay, so I don't think that he's the man. They just dropped that name in there because it's River Plate blog that he has. Now the other one, Hernan Crespo, he just renewed his contract with Sao Paulo until the end of the year. So yeah, he's not leaving either.
Okay.
He's not leaving Sao Paulo either. So he's going to stay there, and it's going to be coded. And I'm telling you, it's going to be fast. I'm telling you, next week, probably, I'm going to tell you this, next week, most likely Code will be landing in Buenos Aires to take over River Plate.
Okay.
That's my take.
All right. We'll keep an eye on that. Topic number 2 of 5. Rummenigge winning again? Question mark. Yes, comma.
Whining again.
Oh, whining again. Oh, okay. So you're missing an H and not another N.
So sorry. I forgot. I was like, my fingers.
He's blowing them together. Okay, so Rummenigge is whining again. Yes, and then of course in all capital letters. So why is Karl-Heinz Rummenigge whining again, sir?
Do you remember we talked about this? Like he was complaining that they cannot compete with all these state clubs, that they got so much money and all that. Remember? It was like a couple of months ago. Now he's complaining because of the agents. Agents have now so much power. We cannot deal with this anymore. We already paying immoral, he said this, immoral amounts of money. And they just have too much power. And now we can negotiate with the players because they have to. That's why the agents are poor, brother. That's why I got an agent. So you cannot take advantage of me, Mr. Rummenigge, and your FC, your Bayern Munich, okay? And he was complaining. We have to do something. He was calling for reform, all right? We need to reform the system and evaluate the fees what we paying to the agents, because it's way too much money. Now, when he talks about way too much money, to give an idea, Johnny, how much money the agents made in the last transfer window? Give me a number.
Oh, let's see. So if we had, I'll say $350 million.
You're way too low, brother.
Really? Okay.
1.3 billion.
Okay, because I was going off of the number of $1 billion in transactions and not $3 billion in transactions. Then you take 30%, and that'd be, yeah. Okay, so all right.
They made $13 million. 1,300. Is that right? 1,300, right? 1.3 billion. Yeah.
Yeah. 1.3
billion.
So you're talking basically $4 billion in transactions, and
around that.
They're 30%, and so that'd be about right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That it's a lot of money. Yeah, but hey. It's the job, you know.
Mhm.
That's the nature of the business. You know, the prices go up, my fees goes up. So it is what it is.
Well, yeah, and then if you let the agents get to this point, then of course you're going to have the agents with all this control and getting all this money. You're going to be talking to the agents first. The agents have turned into this monolith where instead of it used to be the old days where you're talking with the player and it's a handshake and everything. Yes, the agents have become these super villains now, or these, whatever, superheroes, super villains, whatever your perspective is. And they're the ones you got to talk to. They're the intermediaries, and they're going to get their cut, man. We've seen it all the time. But yeah, getting to 1.3 billion over a 12-month period to help out their players and get their cut, I am not surprised. So
and like agents, super agents, no, it's just agents, like super agents, like Jorge Mendes, the guru in Europe. He doesn't, the way he works is he doesn't, when he sells you a player, he doesn't sell you one player.
Nope.
It's a package, right? I got your striker, but also got a right back, a left back, a goalie. So all together, baby, all together. You know, this is a combo. This is a happy meal for you. So this is how I sell it. This is how I operate. And the guy is just an absolute genius, man. An absolute genius.
Yes. Topic number 3. Rabanal, press conferences, Peruvian soccer culture, all in the same bag.
I'm so mad, man. I am so mad. All right, let me see. So, Mr. Rabanal, right? Head coach for Universitario de Deportes. He just arrived to La U this year. They haven't lost a game yet in the tournament, but there's some drop in performances in the second halves of the games with Universitario de Deportes. And in the latest one, he made 3-4 substitutions, and they did not perform, right? And then he came out in the press conference and said, "You know what? It's all my fault. You know, I made the changes, but I cannot expect the players that are coming off the bench to decrease the performance of the team. All right, I can't accept that. You know, if I put you in, it's to perform. If I put you in, it's because I trust you. All right, this is how you gotta. So if whoever's not ready for this to step up into the pitch and sustain the same level at the team, you better watch the games on TV." That's what he said, right? It's kind of like, it's kind of harsh, right? But it's true. It's direct. He was honest. Oh my God. He was the Antichrist. It was like the people in the media. How dare you talk to? How dare you talk to? Jeez, I can talk.
How dare you talk like that about your players?
Yes,
where there's an expectation level of performance, and if you can't maintain the level of performance, you can't talk about them that way, because even though they were negative, you can't talk about them that way. But I'm their coach. I can. Well, no, you can't. You're not supposed to. But they didn't do their job. Well, then that's why I said what I said. But you can't say that. Well, why not? Because I'm the coach. But you can't say that. Yes, I can. That kind of a thing.
Yeah, but only because the thing was, no, the Peruvian soccer players are not used to that. You can talk to Peruvian soccer players like this, because then they're not gonna perform well for you. They're gonna back it up, and they're gonna go against you, because you treat them like adults, like professional soccer players, man. Huh? They didn't treat them like kids. What is this? And the most horrendous part is like it's like everybody's lined up on the same thing. I'm 5% of the media that believes that this is the right thing to do, or the right thing to say. Okay. But it's so mediocre, man. When I hear this, it pisses me off, man. It pisses me off because they were saying, Ravenel, you might talk to these Ecuadorian athletes that are going to be selling to Europe in the next month or so, but you can't talk to these players. Like, why? Why not? Why not? Do you want to be elite? Do you want to be elite?
I mean,
then this is how the elite world works.
I mean,
okay. Do you want to be elite or not?
Not a hard question.
You know, it's insane. I don't know. Yeah, it's insane, man.
Okay, change your input because whenever somebody just texted you, I'm now hearing the background of the room. I'm not hearing you hearing now.
All right. Okay, now I can hear it.
There we go. There it is. Okay. Yes. And so yesterday, I was watching Libertadores, and
right.
I was looking at the matchup between Bahia and O'Higgins, which got completely and totally unhinged in the first half. And O'Higgins got the Duke in PKs, and so they are going to move on and get the winner of Deportivo Táchira and Deportes Tolima. Then you have, let's see, so Independiente Medellin has advanced. Juventud and Guarani, we're waiting for that one. That one, they get the winner of that one. Táchira Tolima gets O'Higgins. Segunda de Mayo, great work. They lose to Sporting Cristal. Sporting Cristal gets Carabobo. Botafogo down a goal to Nacional Potosi. And we've been keeping an eye on our buddy John Texter, and I say that sarcastically. Botafogo advances, and they're going to take on Barcelona,
yeah,
who down 1-0 to Argentinos Juniors, and they come all the way back, and they get 2-0 win. So Barcelona, SC, and Botafogo is one of the round of 8. I'm looking forward to that. So you say Barcelona SC, no fancy suits required to advance in Libertadores. Please explain yourself.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last year about the Segundo Castillo suits, and we're not talking about the Barcelona's performances on the pitch. And this year, even though it wasn't pretty, all right, this is the Barcelona that is not the dominant sexy soccer that they used to play. They're more pragmatic now because they have this coach now. Forgot his name, the Venezuelan guy. Man, Johnny, help me out. Pull up the coach for Barcelona. Forgot his name, man. Jesus. Okay.
That's what Colts do. Cesar Farias.
Farias. There you go. Farias. Farias now. He's taking over Barcelona. He's leading Barcelona. He's the kind of coach that he's not focused on the more on the form, but basically more on the results. He's a very pragmatic coach. He was a champion with Aucas after 77 years in the Liga Pro Ecuador, and now he's with Barcelona. And they went to Buenos Aires, played against Argentinos Juniors. They survived the first, I want to say, 35 minutes or so. And then the goal from Johnny Quiñones. By the way, I would love to have Johnny Quiñones in Universitario de Deportes. Hey, Universitario de Deportes, guys, Johnny Quiñones. You want him? I can take you. I can take you, Johnny, to the Monumental to play for Universitario de Deportes. Anyway, this is a fantastic number 8. He plays a number 6 too for Barcelona. They'll be ready. They'll be ready for Botafogo, and this is not the first time that the Ecuadorian teams meet up with Brazilian teams and got away with it. Not so much last time around when I predicted that Liga de Quito was going to beat Palmeiras, but no, not this time. Not this time. Preliminary rounds of the Copa Libertadores might be a different story, and I think Barcelona has a big chance against Botafogo in the next round.
All right, and so we save your pipes. We now go to World Cup Chronicles, and you have written here, Maradona and Sue Carpenter, The Last Dance. What is going on here? Yes, proper hydration. Yes, what's going on here?
Do you remember who was Sue Carpenter? No.
I remember. I remember the Carpenters, the music group, the brother and sister.
Yes. Sue Carpenter was is the name of the nurse that walk out Maradona out of the pitch for that anti-doping test in 1994 in Foxborough in Boston. The story is crazy, right? Because it's of course for Argentines, it's this conspiracy theory has been created by Argentines, saying that this was a setup for Maradona, right? It was a setup, and that Julio Rondona stole his soul to FIFA in terms of taking away Maradona out of the equation, so Brazil would win the first World Cup since 1970, because it was the last World Cup with under Joe Havelange leading FIFA. So that's the story, right? But the thing here is that come on, Argentines, why you are so difficult? But anyway, well, why you gotta be like that? But anyway, they got the reasons. That's how they are. But anyway, so the thing is, so he got positive. He tested positive for ephedrine, right?
Right.
And that's what he tested positive for. So they run the first test. Okay, they notify Julio Rondona. It was like, what? Cannot be. So they run another test. They send another test to LA, and of course it went positive again. So what do we do? It cannot be. What are we gonna do? I don't know. Call somebody. Call the president. So they did call the president of Argentina, Carlos Menem. President, we have a situation here where Maradona tested positive for ephedrine. Really? What? No way. So let me call this guy. They call this guy James Church. I think it's Church, the name of this former governor in what's it, in Arkansas, or no, I don't know what was the state.
Okay.
Give me the president. We need to talk to the president. We need to talk to Bill. Oh wait, what? You have to talk to who? Yeah, I need to talk to Bill Clinton. From one president to another president, because Maradona tested positive for ephedrine. So then they figured out, so we're trying, while we're doing all these things, high level, connections and everything. They were wondering, what the heck happened, man? What you gave him? But you give me to go by and get the rib caps. Those rib caps, fuel, Johnny, those fat burners.
Yeah.
They're ripped, right? There are two kinds. One is rip fuel,
yes,
and one is rip fast.
Yes.
Right. So that's the story is that the trainer mislabeled or mistaken, or he took the wrong one. He's supposed to get the fuel one, and he got the fast one. So the fast one has ephedrine, and the fuel doesn't have ephedrine. So this is why he gave it to him. So this is what it was. So and after that, after figuring out what it was, Julio Rondona threatened FIFA. They were going to sue FIFA for $100 million.
Wow.
For $100 million. Of course, it didn't take place, right? He just threatened it. But that was it. That was the amount of money that he threatened with the suit. I'm going to sue you for $100 million because this is not right, and ephedrine is supposed to be over the counter and la la la. So after that episode, ephedrine is allowed up until 150 milligrams or something.
Okay.
And Maradona tested positive for like 10 milligrams or something. It was just tiny amount of ephedrine on his system that tested positive, and they say, yeah, this is why. Yeah, the only way that Brazil could have won the World Cup that year is with Maradona out of the World Cup.
Yep, suspended for 15 months from that point on, and Sue Ellen Carpenter is the name here with Man marking Diego Maradona after Argentina and Nigeria heading into the room, and the rest they say is history. And so that means, of course, I have to find my favorite drop and play it for you as we always do. If I can, here we go. And so here's how we wrap up another week with our man Nino Torres.
Now you know the rest of the story.
And there you go. That's our buddy Paul Harvey. As always, my friend, save the pipes, man. We need you. We need you. Save the pipes. That's why I tried to kind of fill in some holes when it came to our presentation today, when it came to conversations and raising voices. I will raise our voices collectively, sir. We need to keep your pipes. Oh, what you baking?
You know, chocolate cakes, bro. Chocolate cakes this morning. We got that 3 in the oven. I mean, not 3 out of the oven already. I just got the fudge ready. So we're ready to dress up with fudge, all those cakes, and we'll get out of here and go to do the deliveries, man.
Not jealous or nothing. As always, my friend, we love you very much, and we're going to gain 5 pounds vicariously through you and social media. We'll catch up with you again next week. Be safe.
See you, Johnny. Take care.
All right, Nino Torres with the World Cup Chronicles and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and Libertadores. And he thinks Barcelona, Botafogo. I'm looking forward to that one. He thinks Barcelona's got a shot. We've been keeping an eye, obviously, on Botafogo with our required reading of our friend of our friend John Texter and all of his comings and goings. And so keeping an eye on all that stuff. And it's always great to catch up with our friend Nino Torres and find out what's going on in South America, get his lay of the land. And when Nino Damas was right, River Plate. Yep. And so he was fighting the cold, Nino was, when we started with soccer over there Monday night. And in the 7 o'clock hour was when Gallardo sent the note on social media. Remember, today is a part of Picks of the Week, is his last matchup. And that is this afternoon. And when you get the opportunity, and if you have Fanatis, you can watch the LPF. But last matchup, at home, 5:30 against Bonfield. So Bonfield at River Plate, 5:30 at the Monumental. Obviously, they're a heavy favorite at a minus 196. But last match, Gallardo, River Plate, 5:30, Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them, helps us, helps you with all the things, people. All the things. Watching a lot of South American soccer. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. So that's the rundown with Gallardo and Rummenigge and World Cup Chronicles. I never thought, wow, Sue Ellen Carpenter, wow. And I had to go back and look and follow along with all of that with Diego Maradona, all the things. Libertadores, Barcelona SC, out of Ecuador. Keep an eye out for them as we are in the quali stages. But that's always great to catch up with our friend Nino Torres and find out what is going on. So morning Knicks, morning Catalucci, and morning Wiley. And so, yeah, well, Lambert is not a great airport. I remember when I was hopscotching the country when I was in television, I forget where I think it was for the World Series or something. It might have been an all-star game, and I had to go through Lambert. And this was before the renovations and before what Lambert looks like now. This is literally like 900 years ago. So I was at Lambert, and it was late in the afternoon in the summer, which meant, much like here in the southeastern United States, you're going to get a front to come through, you're going to get the afternoon shower, and everything's going to get backed up. It did. And they didn't have enough seats in the concourses and at the gates for everyone because you had planes that were backed up, you had stuff that was going on, and it was hours of delays. And so people were lined in the hallways, sitting down, waiting for the opportunity to stand up, to get into a seat, to get onto a plane. It was not structured well enough for people to sit and chill and do stuff and wait for their planes in the afternoon thunderstorms. I'm hoping Lambert is different now. Jordan, you can give me the intel, but yeah, Jordan's like outdated. And did you see, by the way, before we bring in our buddy Niko Moreno, did you see the big 10 basketball coaches talk about the worst airports, the Big Ten basketball coaches, and they mentioned Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. Busiest airport in the world they thought was the worst airport that they have to go through. DFW got some. O'Hare got some. Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson got like 4 votes from the coaches in the B1G. Wouldn't surprise me if those coaches' faces were kind of like in the post office, where you have the America's Most Wanted. Those coaches' faces are up at every gate now. Oh, Mr. So-and-so. Oh, I'm sorry about you. I'm sorry about your luggage. No, your plane left 15 minutes ago. One of those kind of things. Wouldn't surprise me if their faces were up at every check-in gate at Hartsfield-Jackson going forward. Those coaches from the B1G that said Hartsfield-Jackson was the worst airport in the country. Okay, I digress. Last half hour before we go into added time to talk about things and update what's going on. We go from Peru to Seattle. How many shows can do that? Today, we've gone from Atlanta to Chicago to Lima to Seattle. That means we bring in our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. What cup of coffee are you on, sir?
Cup number 2. What's going on, everybody? Happy to be on, of course. Yes, not as tired as I am other mornings. I did have to see a couple of CCC games there late, but maybe it's because my wife made me get up at 4:30 to go to the gym, but I'm feeling all right.
To get up at 4:30 to go to the gym, did you go with the boss or did you have to go independently and she was just making sure that you got short sheeted and she was pulling the sheets off for you to go?
Oh, absolutely not. If she doesn't get up, I don't get up. Every time that alarm clocks, I kind of hope that she just goes back to bed, but she did not today.
Okay. In hour number 1, I went through the matchups from last night. LAG survived, basically. It was the away goal from Paintsville that was the difference, so they advanced. And they've got a great bracket. I don't care what anybody says. They've got Mount Pleasant coming up next. Then you end up with Vancouver taking care of business. They TCB'd their way through. They got rid of Cartagenas. But I spent some time in the early part of the show for opening kickoff having to do with FC Cincinnati and O&M. And you look at the scoreline after the 2 legs, and it was 13-0. 9-0 last night. A lot of academy kids got reps. A lot of the younger players got reps for FC Cincinnati. Understandably so, that you were in control of that match. And after the match was over, the O&M coach admitted that he only had 14 position players available to him because of visa issues. And I think it's safe to say that that contributed to what we were looking at last night. And I'm hoping that that is kind of a signal to the powers that be for these clubs that are coming in and playing these grandes in the tournament. Give them as much help as you can so you don't have visa issues, so they've at least got a full bench and a fair shot, because you never know what's going to happen if you've got that full bench and a fair shot. I just, when Coach Aparicio came on after the match and he was like, yeah, I only had 14 position players. I'm like, with visa issues that were the problems getting into the country, I'm like, okay, that's where they need help in this situation. I hope that this is something that they can put on the wall as CONCACAF and go, okay, younger club, they need help. How can we help them going forward so you don't continue to have 2 legs like we had with Cincinnati and O&M?
Thank you for bringing that up, John, because I continue to see some comments that to me are not beneficial to the growth of MLS, the growth of soccer in the area in CONCACAF, because I continue to hear, oh, these teams that they're not even pro teams. This is why MLS needs to start to just work directly with CONMEBOL and go to Copa Libertadores. Hey, let's slow it down. Let's continue to grow the region. Let's make sure that at least we figure out where visas for teams to play the tournament to be at their best of their capacity. Let's make sure that the fields that this games are being played on are up to the standard. Let's do all those things. Let's continue to grow a CONCACAF region that I think has gotten a lot better as time has gone on. I can think of 10, 15 years ago where CONCACAF was a joke in the sense of even MLS was not taken seriously. Even Liga MX teams were not taken seriously, at least by South American standards, right? So thank you for bringing that up. I do think that has to be a point of emphasis for the conference to get better. And all of these small teams that are trying to develop with no infrastructure, barely little money and help from the government and their own domestic leagues. The Salvadorian league. I mean, obviously, the Dominican Republic it's even at a lesser. They have even a bigger disadvantage than others. But even the Tico League, the Panamanian League, all these leagues they're trying to keep up. It's difficult because they don't have the infrastructure and the money that a league like MLS does. That's why I laugh. I laugh so many times when I hear people talk about, oh, well, MLS should be even better than they are now. And I don't understand why MLS isn't at a better, bigger moment. Look how young the league is and look at where they are. And I think that you would be kind of glad and learn that it's not easy to be where MLS is at this early in the fruition of the league in general. So yes, I hope that is the case. There were some really bad games, and this was one of them. But look, you saw the LA Galaxy game. That was a game that they struggle, and maybe it's more of an indictment of where LA Galaxy's at. But look, when a guy like Pencil, a guy like Peck are having issues just breaking down blocks, that you got to give a little bit of credit to the opponent. You got to be able to say, hey, this is what didn't work out. So to each his own, but I continue to be someone that wants the region to get better and know so much. Let's worry about moving on and going to playing in South America.
Yep, a couple of weeks from now, you're going to have Toluca in San Diego, Mount Pleasant and LAG, Cruz Azul, Monterrey, Alajuelense and LAFC, Cascadia, thank you very much, with Seattle and Vancouver.
In Spokane. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, oh boy. So that's going to be an interesting one. Tigres and FC Cincinnati, America versus the winner of Philly and Defense Force, and Messi and friends taking on Nashville for the 19th time in a row in a competition. All right, so into the discussion about Major League Soccer, there are two individuals that I need to start your talk with here, Jordan Morris and Hassani Dotson, from what happened last week. It's never a good thing when you see Jordan Morris go down early and he has to be subbed. Hassani Dotson is taken off on a concussion sub. What do we know?
Yeah, look, in order to kind of condense it all, the Seattle Sounders open up the 2026 season with a comfortable win over Colorado, but it had a little bit of everything. It's what I call the good, the bad, and the ugly. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the bad. 2 injuries at that particular time, which was obviously the one that was more concerning. 4 minutes into the game, Jordan Morris lifts his hand, asks for a sub. He stays in the game for a couple more minutes, ends up just having to sit down, laid onto the ground. And per Brian Spencer yesterday, he has a grade 1A quad injury. He talked about it being part of his shooting mechanism and how difficult it might be to, kind of move forward from that, but it's only 4 weeks, a minimum of 4 weeks. That's how much time Jordan will miss. I would think that he might be even maybe one more than that. I think they're going to be cautious at getting him back. Anytime that you have a player with that sort of explosiveness and that need to use that particular muscle so often, I think that you want to be very cautious with. So 4 to 5, we'll see where that goes. Good. The positive is that Hassani Dotson, not in concussion protocol. He took a big hit. It was a big collision. I really thought that he was going to be under concussion protocol. It took him a while. In the 61-minute half of soccer that the Sounders played against Colorado, which puts me into the ugly category. The ugly was the referee, and it was terrible. It was slow. It looked like this guy was on training wheels. They were trying to just look. VAR is supposed to be to help the referee. Let's say that you could put a magnifying glass on some of those, but let's not put a microscope. Let's not try to go back to the smallest second. The disallowed goal for Hassani is ridiculous. The careless jump in, whatever they called it, I thought it was awful. So between the refereeing and how slow that first half was, I do think that this game took a little bit of shine from the Sounders' first 3 points. But then the good for the Sounders, structurally very good, disciplined, compact where they needed to be. Although Brian didn't necessarily took that victory lap, I thought that his pressing was very good. He called it okay. I thought that it was very effective. Colorado did invite it. It's going to be interesting to see how Colorado develops, because they're a team that's taking 4 or 5 touches in their own third in order to get out from the back. They're inviting that pressure, so it was maybe a little bit easier for Seattle to get on, and maybe that's what Brian's going off of. But offensively, very good. Jesus Ferreira, 2 assists, so sharp on the ball, finding pockets in space, putting the ball where it needs to be. Should have had a 3rd assist in a beautiful left-footed through ball to Albert Rusnak that Albert is going to want that back all season long. I thought that Osase was okay, not great, but he did the dirty work, keeping the center backs occupied, creating space. And of course, Paul Rothrock, he comes in for Jordan Morris in a time where the whole stadium lost all the oxygen out of it. I mean, as soon as you saw Jordan Morris on the ground, you just thought that the winds of your sails were done. Paul Rothrock came in with 2 fans in his hand and just uplifted that stadium. Beautiful effort on that first assist to Albert Rusnak, who you got to give credit, second header of his career, which is kind of funny. He gets that first goal, and then Paul Rothrock just pushing the envelope, following the play. Ferreira finds him. Paul Rothrock puts it away. So that's kind of the gist of a good, comfortable win for the Sounders. Should have been 3, should have been 4, but I think that Brian Spencer is just happy with the win.
Yeah, and to your point about officiating, we did get into it a little bit back on Monday with the Noah Cobb call, which perfectly fine. It should have been a yellow. It should not have been a red, but that goes to the larger issue. I personally thought that the Reggie Cannon challenge was more of dangerous play than the Noah Cobb foul that was rescinded from a red back to a yellow. I'm surprised, frankly, Colorado even finished the match 11-11.
I totally agree. For me, the biggest bone I have to pick with the situation is that it should have been like the NFL. Look, if the call on the field was a red card, which that's what it was, there should be clear and obvious evidence that it wasn't. And for the referee to, what it felt like he was just sitting there listening to VAR, just trying to coach him through that moment, I think that's counterproductive to the whole point of VAR. So allow him to make a call. And I thought that there was some aggressiveness, and I thought there was some recklessness to getting that elbow extended the way it did. That was just my take on the play. But then when the referee goes to the monitor and then tells you it was a reckless yellow. I mean, it was a reckless foul challenge, but it's a yellow. He said it with this sort of emphasis, like he was going to stick with the red. He didn't. I just did not like it. But to me, it's mainly that whenever you're trying to quarterback this thing from the VAR offices, I don't like it. Allow the referee to also have some say in the game.
Well, and that I think is the problem that we have to continue to be vigilant about. It is not up to the VAR to re-referee a moment.
Correct. Love it.
And with VAR, you are there as that. Last time I checked, the A means assistant, video assistant referee. It is not just VR. It's not, video resources or whatever. It's not video referee. It is video assistant referee. You're not there to relitigate everything and sit there and say, well, I saw this, I saw this, I saw this. This is what it should be. No, that's not how this works. You are there as an adjunct. You're there as eyes in the sky to walk through, hey, you might have missed something, but not to convince you to flip your original call if there isn't, if you're not having to sit there and go frame by frame and go Zapruder film and try and find something which might not be there and relitigate and re-referee. That's the larger issue that we've seen, sadly, too much in the last couple of years in Major League Soccer, and I think we just have to continue to be vigilant about that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, because look, if the referee thought it was such a bad foul to not just give the red, but to stop a potential offensive opportunity for Seattle because the ball got over. Osase was with the ball, getting ready to take all the space in the world, and he cuts the play, right? There's no advantage. If it was a yellow and he didn't think it was so egregious, you would have let the play run, and then maybe later you come back and you give the yellow. But that's not what happened here. He immediately stopped it because he thought it was so egregious, and then you made the referee look like a fool by, like you said, re-refereeing from VAR. So absolute botch job from the referee throughout the whole game.
A couple of other games out west I want to get your thoughts on before we head into the weekend of match day number 2. San Jose and Sporting. San Jose puts 3 on the board in unsuspecting ways. Sporting, I think it's going to be a long year. And then Messi and friends go to the as we call it in Southern California, the LA Mausoleum, the Memorial Coliseum, and lose 3-0 to LAFC. And then Denny Bwanga a couple days ago signs a contract extension through 28-29, I believe. So he's going to be there for a while. When you look at those 2 matches, what sticks in your head?
Let's slow down with San Jose. It was Sporting Kansas City. It wasn't great. Look, Nico Shaqiri he was phenomenal. He was good. I think it's going to be fun to watch him. But again, this was against Sporting Kansas City. 2 of those goals come from a center back, set pieces. You could tell me whatever you want about this San Jose roster. It's not good. It does have that Bruce Arena, obviously, coaching tree, and they're disciplined, and they're going to be taking advantage of set pieces and things of that nature. But you can't tell me that you saw that game and thought, San Jose is going to be pretty good this season. And if you are, then I just don't know what to tell you. Timo Werner is going to bring that level up, sure, but I still do not see enough from San Jose to think that Timo Werner is going to be able to have a bigger impact when you're the only guy up there. Judd gets his goal. Again, I've said really good things about Judd, but he is an average attacker at best in MLS. So let's just pump the brakes there a little bit. At least they were disciplined. I thought Daniel was good on goal. I think this is more an indictment on how poor, how terrible the West Conference biggest loser of the offseason, Sporting Kansas City, looked in this game. And then when it came to Miami and LAFC, we hit it right. I told you so. I thought that LAFC.
Fort Lauderdale police were the Messi cops.
Messi cops. Look at that. As soon as I'm talking about Miami, people, come on now. This is the powers. The powers at work here. You will not keep me quiet. You will not keep me quiet. Look, I think a lot of people need to be writing an apology letter to Mark Dos Santos. And I know a lot of them are going to talk about this team is just that good. They're going to minimize what he did. But I thought that, look, with Andy Rose as part of that assistant staff grouping, I look at what the Sounders did to expose Miami last year. Mm-hmm. This year is a different team. I understand it. It's new. A lot of people were telling me, hey, this is that rebuild team and, new defenders and new attackers and all of these things. But I just thought LAFC was dominant. People keep dogging on St. Clair. I think he stopped 2 clear chances in that first half. Otherwise, it's 3-0 at halftime. So, yes, he had that boo-boo where he comes out. I don't know what he was thinking. Lost his head trying to be Earl Thomas or something like that out there in the middle of the field. Was weird. But regardless of, the reality is that Miami's going to have the same defensive issues as last season. Mikhail is going to, I think, at some point figure it out, get it together. Everybody wants to dog on Ian Frey. Look, everybody's going to have a hard time with Denny Bwanga. He's a problem. He's a guy that deservingly just got that extension because he has been an X factor for LAFC the entire time. So I just think this is an LAFC team that's going to be very good, very well coached. They're going to continue to get better. And Inter Miami is going to find themselves in a lot of situations where they're going to get the best out of every team. Good, bad, whatever. They're going to get the best out of every single team. And they should know that. We talked about it. Big target on your back. Get ready to bring it every game.
Yep, and it's going to be interesting to see how these new faces continue to integrate for the team in pink. All right, let's get into cliffhanger, and we will roll through the matches, and you just start talking about one when I sit there and blow through it. And obviously, this will be our first tour through the juice boxes on the whole for the week. And we'll go through them again tomorrow in our Stacked, Packed, and Rack show that includes Ted Ramey, the play-by-play voice of San Jose, because of the team that's playing San Jose this weekend. Chicago and Montreal, we had our friend Max Anderson come on early. Chicago, big favorite, no real surprise. Red Bulls and Revs. Red Bulls favored once again, no surprise considering what we saw from the Revs this past weekend against Nashville. Colorado favored at home against Portland at a plus 125. Portland a plus 200. I raised my eyebrow to that one. I'm intrigued. Minnesota United with FC Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati got to rest a lot of folks. They are a 220 dog at Minnesota, which I find.
Well, let's do Colorado. First of all, as I try to figure out why they're a plus 200, I would like the compos on that, but I'm taking that all day, every day. Look, Colorado looked like a medium rare steak that you had to ask the chef to just put back just for a couple more minutes. It's just not done. It's not done. They had difficulties getting out of the back. I talked to Josh Atencio after the game. He looked frustrated. He kind of mentioned that midfield from the Sounders got the best of them. If anything, Portland has a never ageless Diego Chara that we have to applaud. 400 games. The guy is a legend. Running down a player in the 87th minute in his 16th season to stop a potential scoring play, start the play basically for the winner, the game winner for Portland. Diego Chara is amazing. So I think Colorado's going to have a hard time. I wasn't high, and I'm still not high on Portland because they're going to have a lot of these games where they're going to have to outscore a lot of teams. I thought Velde was okay. Look, he's good on the ball. He's good on attack. But that first goal is all on him against Columbus. Just bad turnover. So I do think that Portland's going to have ups and downs. But against Colorado, what's the goal compost? And I'm taking Portland without a doubt.
Okay, it's plus 3.5 is where it flips to a plus 138, and you're in the plus to the north of plus 3.5.
Look, I'll just do it. I think 3.5 for this Portland team. It's very easy to get, plus the win. Give me both. I think Colorado is a team that's going to have a lot of hard time just trying to swim against the current or at least for the beginning of the season.
Okay, and new signee for Portland, by the way, from Gremio. They signed forward Alexander Aravena on loan, and so he is added to the stacks there in Portland as well.
I didn't think that was a need, by the way. I mean, I guess they were playing with Mora, kind of like this outside winger that would come inside. I think Anthony plays that other side perfectly. I think he's their X factor. But hey, you know what? More power to him. Maybe obviously Mora needs to be more of a striker, and that's all fine and well. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's where the need is. But yeah, he's a good player for sure. He's a guy he was on a lot of MLS teams' radars and a couple of European team radars.
Seattle favored on the road at RSL, plus 150 for Seattle. RSL is a plus 188 as a dog at Rio Tinto. What do you think?
That's crazy because Seattle hasn't won in Real Salt Lake in a long time. However, those numbers do make me positive that this is the year. This is the year when the Sounders finally get that win back. I asked Brian Smetzer about it. He said, look, I was under Siggy when there was a long time before we beat them and we finally got it. I think it's this year. It's not a rotational game. It's not a midweek game. You get to use all of your tools. RSL week 1. I mean, they were okay in transition. A lot of need to use that wide left channel and try to pick the striker up with early releases into the box. Mm-hmm. But I just didn't see much from RSL. I think that the Sounders are a team that, regardless of losing Jordan Morris, the continuity, the chemistry, the influence that I think Ferreira's going to have this season, I think they're going to get the win finally against Real Salt Lake on the road.
Okay, and the other 7:40 Eastern kick. Since you mentioned San Jose, and I've mentioned Atlanta United, San Jose is a minus 108 at home at PayPal Park. Atlanta United is a plus 250. 90-minute draws a plus 300. What say you?
Ooh, that has draw written all over it, to be quite frank. Right. I think that you're going to see a step back from San Jose on the ball. Atlanta was hard to watch. It was one of the games that I was very excited to see. And the home open, the MLS opener between St. Louis and who was the team?
Charlotte.
Yes, that was a funner game. It was just a better game overall. Atlanta started off pretty good, and then they allowed Cincinnati to just get on top of them. I still think Atlanta has some work to do. I'll do a draw in that one.
Okay. Dallas dog at home with Nashville SC. Houston a dog at home with LAFC. Sporting a dog at home against Crew. Crew's on the minus side there at a minus 118. A minus side road favorite at Sporting. Vancouver and Toronto. Vancouver big favorite at home against Toronto. LAG favorite at home against Charlotte at a plus 110. Sunday, Austin minus side hosting DC United. Obviously, not everybody's sold on DC United even after they knocked Philly around. Speaking of Philly, favorite at home against NYC. Then the purple team and Messi and Friends. The big one on Sunday night. Messi and Friends favored at a plus 120, traveling to Central Florida. And the purple team is a plus 195, draws a plus 290 in this one.
Yeah, that's a trap game for me, for at least on the betting side. I think Orlando was bad. I think that they have been shaky all preseason. I think defensively they just struggled on the attack. There was just no connectivity. There was a sense of width, but no ability to be more purposeful at the final third. That's a tough one, man. I'm staying away from that one completely, but I do think Inter Miami probably gets the win on that one. I think that they are just better equipped, and this Orlando team just doesn't look quite ready yet. I think Oscar will get them there, but I just don't think they're quite ready there.
And then last match on the board on Sunday, San Diego FC. They are a minus side favorite at home. No real surprise, once again, considering the number that they put up against CF Montreal. St. Louis City is a big underdog at a plus 400. San Diego gets the opportunity to get two on the plus side out of the blocks and have 6 points in their first two.
Yeah, I think they'll get the win, but I think it's going to be difficult. I think that St. Louis is really going to challenge them. Look, I like the ball movement from St. Louis. I like the intensity. Their press is really good. I was very surprised. And look, I know that Charlotte has issues of their own, but I think St. Louis was the better team over the 90 minutes. And a lot of it had to do in the way they just carried the ball, the way they defended, some of that intensity that we had seen from this team early on under Cornell. I think you saw a little bit of that. I thought they had a really good game.
All right. What else is going on with you, Pulso Sports? Sounder at heart. It's the beginning of MLS Next Pro this weekend. So we have to keep on that. We have to keep an eye on that too. And what else are you going to anticipate at Providence and Swedish seamstress shop and framing boutique?
Well, we're just like synchronizing like Kobe and Shaq. You just throw it the alley-oop, because I'm glad that you brought up the MLS is back and all of that, because we're going to get to talk to Joe Paulo, new head coach, assistant head coach for Tacoma Defiance. He's going to work with Paulo Nagamura with the Tacoma Defiance thing, and I'm just excited. That's today. That is my homework. That's what I'm going to go do over there at Providence, is go talk to Joe Pablo, how he's doing, how difficult it is to separate the player from the coach, what he's seen out of this group. I'm just excited. So that's going to be on Sounder Our Heart and what we call the Coach's Corner. That's a must watch. Absolutely. Then, of course, we're going to have everything that we find out about the team prior to their trip to RSL. You're going to find that on Pulso Sports. Of course, do not forget to listen to our What We Learned This Week with Jeremiah Oshan, as well as Thunder Hard. You can find that in the Thunder Hard Podcast Network as well. And then on Monday, we'll break down the week that was. We'll talk about the Sounders, see if they did get that win at RSL on Loving Scorchers kickoff with Ari Lillenwall. And I think that's all I got.
That's plenty, man. We will catch up with you again this time next week. As always, enjoy your second cup of coffee. Love you very much. We'll see you again this time in 7 days. Be good.
Appreciate you guys. Good luck to Atlanta, guys.
Yes.
Lots of love to y'all.
Yes. And so there he goes with the second cup of coffee. And there goes our buddy Niko Moreno. And he just like pounded that second cup of coffee. He's heading like to cup number 3. I mean, the man had to survive the messy cops in that segment. Messy cops. He starts talking about the team in pink, and the messy cops dumped him. So that was interesting. So we got that. Just so you know, NWSL has released all of their secondary and third kits, the alternate kits for this season, and they are now out. And we may take a look at them and see what we think heading into tomorrow, and we may give you the overarching look at the new kits. Really looking forward to that. Each team has posted their own stills. Let me see if the NWSL has it, and so I can get them all in one place. Just to have them all in one place. Where are they? Okay, so we have, and I need to zoom in on these things. I really need to zoom in on them. Angel City. If you just make sure that if you have, if you're, they're alphabetical. Okay, so that will help out. So Angel City looks kind of cool, and I wish I could zoom in on these so we could flip the photo. But take my word for it. This is what I think early rounds, and we can always disagree and talk about it tomorrow. Angel City, it's one of those. You remember, like in the old Batman cartoons where, you'd have the spinning wheel and it would have the almost the color form that makes you dizzy. That's kind of what looked like what Angel City does. I dig it. It's just different. Boston has an orange kit for them. No, Boston has the TJ Maxx kit. Okay, so Boston has the TJ Maxx kit. That Bay has Sutter Health. Okay, so Bay has an orange alternate. Boston has a color splashed black jersey that has yellow, green, and pink. Then you have Denver, very clean. It is a white jersey with the Summit crest, and it has the green sleeves with the teal trim. Let's see. I'm trying to just look at highlights here. San Diego's is cream colored. Racing Louisville's is really interesting. Once again, it's a black base with green and purple color splash. It is Portland that has ring on the front, and once again, it's cream colored with color splashes. A lot of color splashes this year. Courage is a dark blue with sublimated design underneath. So I'd say for the most part, these are really good stuff. And so it's not just basic colors. And so it is, they've gone away from their normal color schemes. So Chicago, simplistic. They have the stars crest, and they have the light blue stripes in thirds. Gotham has the Lady Liberty kit, which Lady Liberty is sublimated. So I like that. Let's see. Kansas City Current has a current kit, which makes sense. Orlando has, let's see, it's a white base, but it has purple and lime green and orange accents and stripes. And so there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of color splashes with this group. And I like that. Utah has a black kit with the copper wording and logos and things like that. So I could dig that. And so Washington's is what's the flower in Washington that they have, the It's it's gonna cherry blossoms. So it's a cherry blossom sublimated kit with So there's a lot of imagination that went into these. And, if I had the coat hangers for it, I probably would go into the poorhouse with a lot of these. So, well done, NWSL, for thinking outside the box with your basic color schemes with your clubs. So, those are all released, and you can look at them and keep an eye on it and see what it goes. But yes, for the 16 clubs, very, very cool look. Once again, 16 new kits, and we heard about Team 17 with the duck on the front. And so we're going to find out about that here as we go, coming up over the next couple of years. So, news to keep an eye on for the remainder of the day. We mentioned what's going on in Europa and Europa Conference League. So once again, that's at 12:45. 4 matches, 12:45 in each competition. 4 matches, 3 o'clock in each competition. Still no update on Sheffield Wednesday after the takeover has collapsed. And you have Mike Ashley kind of laying in the weeds, trying to get him for pennies on the dollar. So keep an eye out for that. Let's see. We've got, according to the Telegraph, an exclusive. Referees lose faith in VAR technology. I'd lose faith in the implementation of VAR. We may go back on that in a couple of days. So we'll see what that's like. We may redress that when Bart comes back on Monday. So we'll keep an eye out on that. So we had gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We talked about that. Martin O'Neill claims VAR is debilitating for officials. And he says that one day we'll have robots when it comes to officiating. Well, I don't think VAR is debilitating. It's just, once again, we go back to the discussion that we had with Nico and what we have had with Bart and in VAR in general. You can't relitigate. You can't re-referee these things. You just can't do it. You cannot do it. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't do more, because then you get bogged down in all these things. And referees debilitated by VAR. No, that's not what is going on. It is an improper implementation of VAR that may seem like it's debilitated. From the Guardian, European countries are fearing playing in the World Cup would mean a financial loss because they're having to travel further than they did last time around. And then the state taxes individually vary from state to state. And so they're keeping an eye out on that. Also, there's still a discussion going on with a handful of weeks to go in Foxborough about the $8 million shortfall when it comes to security and the discussions between the pertinent parties there and the politicians. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. Ronaldo has bought a 25% stake in Almeria, and no financial deals, details of the deal, and he already owns a share of Al Nasser. And so 25% share of Almeria. Third in the Segunda, 1 point from automatic promotion, owned by Saudi group SMC, and became the first footballer included in Bloomberg's Billionaire Index last October. And so set to take part in his 6th World Cup at the age of 41. So CR41 now owns 1/4 of Almeria in the 2nd division, and they are close to getting back into the top flight. Let's see. I'm trying to see what else is here. I think we're good on that part of things. USL had a note earlier today that they have more. They have Tampa-based investment firm Weatherford Capital has joined Bell Tower Partners Strategic Investment in the USL, bringing deep sports expertise and a broad national network to the league. So Bell Tower, the investment group advances USL Premier, prepares to introduce promotion relegation. So Weatherford Capital, a private investment firm headquartered in Tampa, has joined Bell Tower Partners Strategic Investment in the league. And Alex Papadakis on Weatherford, bringing extensive experience across sports landscape, disciplined investment approach. And they're enthusiastic with Weatherford joining Bell Tower. And with the path that they're creating, they're optimistic about the future. Investment comes during the time of momentum, and this is from the USL. Once again, USL Premier coming in, set to launch in 2028. And so, quote from Weatherford Capital, founded in 2015, private investment firm, more than $1 billion in assets under management. Tampa, Dallas, Chicago, invests across technology, financial services, business services, sports, and public sector markets. Focus on mission-driven platforms positioned to scale over time. Sports investment portfolio for Weatherford includes IMG Academy, minority stakes in the Tampa Bay Rays, Collegiate Athletic Solutions, which provides strategic capital to collegiate athletic programs, and Curve Sports, a youth baseball platform unifying coaches, athlete development, and performance testing. Bell Tower made their investment back in September when there were folks that were joining the USL board as vice chairs. Initial investors included Advaya Capital, data analytics-focused investment firm, significant family offices, ultra-high net worth individuals. Weatherford broadens the league's investor base, so financial terms of the transaction not disclosed to the league by the league, or at least by the league. So now it is Weatherford Capital, Advaya Capital, Bell Tower Partners now investing in the USL as they are getting ready for the next stage of their growth. And so we'll keep an eye out. Keep an eye out on that. And Papadakis, by the way, this year's recipient of the Werner Fricker Builder Award, highest honor that can be bestowed by U.S. Soccer, with 20 years in the business as a builder. So Werner Fricker Builder Award goes to Alex Papadakis this year. And Select is in with USL as the 2026 match ball. We kind of talked a little bit about the new deal with MLS Next Pro and with One Football. Right now, as it looks, they're trying to. One Football is dealing with entities that like Ukraine and Slovakia, where you have to pay a couple of bucks a match to see, and they're doing it a la carte. They're not doing like league packages like we have and network packages like with Fanatis. So right now, MLS Next Pro is free to view on onefootball.com, and if you have their app, you can watch it on their phone. Like I said, I've got their app, and so it will be intriguing to see how this year goes. It's just a one-year deal, so we'll see how it develops over time. Note from Derek Ray, Aberdeen proud to become the first sports team outside the U.S. to partner with Jump as its exclusive fan experience and ticketing platform for the 27-28 season. And so that connects Aberdeen with Alexis Ohanian and Alex Rodriguez. Derek Ray's understanding is it can bring £3 million in the next 2 years, which boosts the club's quest to reinvigorate on the pitch. So keep an eye out on that as well. So a couple of different things that are there. The Pride unveiling their 2026 Unity kit honoring the Pulse nightclub victims 10 years after the tragedy. So that is where that is the kit that was revealed for Orlando Pride is attached to the Pulse nightclub, and the Unity kit 10 years after the tragedy in 2016. So once again, take a look at them. And like I said, I see a lot of imagination once again, and looking forward to a lot of those things flying off the shelves, because it's not just like a twist on the original color. There's more color that's attached to the NWSL jerseys and the alternate jerseys that were released as of 18 minutes ago. So let me see if there's anything else on the board that we can look at and get into. And IFAB to vote on MLS Innovative Rules Saturday. On the 28th, IFAB is going to vote to add 2 groundbreaking on-field innovations from Major League Soccer, the off-field treatment rule and the time substitution rule, to the global laws of the game. Both rules pioneered in MLS Next Pro and in the league's first 2 seasons, adopted by MLS in 2024. MLS and Next Pro have seen significant decrease in preventable game delays over the last 2 seasons since implementing those 2 rules, off-field treatment rule and the time substitution rule. In Major League Soccer, injury-related stoppages decreased by 72% from an average of 5 to 6 to an average of 1.5 per match. In 2025, 99% of substitutions occurred in 10 seconds or less. 510 matches, over 4,300 substitutions, an average of 8.8 a match. The implementation of time substitution rule, only 12 violations in 4,346 substitutions. So keep an eye out on that. So IFAB is going to vote to add on Saturday the off-field treatment rule and the time substitution rule to the IFAB rules. Also, according to our friends at Sportico, MLS is going to allow teams to sell new ad space on the lower back of the jersey starting this year. 4th place on the soccer kit, where teams can place sponsors. Front of the jersey is the biggest and most expensive. Lower back is the 2nd largest space. And so, like we see in Liga MX specifically, down below you see like number name, and then sponsor, or name, number, sponsor. So along the base of the jersey at the back, keep an eye out there and see what sponsors can be persuaded to be on the lower back of the jerseys now in Major League Soccer. So broader set of changes, and it is shifting into what Don Garber is saying is MLS 3.0. Speaking of Don Garber, the league has hired Korn Ferry to kind of kick the tires on possible replacements if Garber decides to retire or if his contract is not renewed next year. So keep an eye on that. So Eben Novi-Williams at Sportico takes effect after the All-Star break. Opportunity to add to the sponsorship haul, additional resources, player development, new stadia, league schedule, impact going forward. Carter Ladd in an interview, quote, "We feel like this is the right moment in time to unlock a new asset for our clubs to capture the attention coming out of the World Cup. The next era for our league is on the horizon." So they're basically calling this element part of MLS 3.0. 80% of the size of the front of jersey sponsorship. Logos will have a max width of 9 inches, max height of 4, significantly bigger than the sleeve, which is 2.5 by 2.5. Financial opportunity will vary. New space could command more than $1 million annually for some. It would be a welcome incremental change in revenue. And so revenue ranging from $215 from Messi and Friends to $47 million at the bottom for CF Montreal and the Colorado Rapids. And so we've had limited ad space in MLS since 1996. 07, the league fully opened the front of the jersey to be sold. New York Times reported at the time in 2007, minimum cost $500,000 a year. Sleeve patch added in 2020. Briefly allowed teams to sell ad space on their shorts during COVID-disrupted seasons while they were trying to have a temporary retainment of commercial revenue. Second sleeve patch sold to Apple for all 30 teams. Demand has increased, according to Ladd, as our relevance has increased. Wanted to be very thoughtful in how we unlock new inventory, and demand with limited inventory was one of the key considerations in doing it now. And so that's from Carter Ladd at the league office. So you can pick up the second largest space on an MLS jersey, which is at the base of the jersey at the back, and MLS teams can now, after the All-Star break, work their way and try and figure out what those sponsors are going to be. And so tonight, once again, Messi and Friends, friendly in Puerto Rico against Independiente del Valle. Games organizers revealed that the game was originally planned to be held in South Korea. So that press conference is going on right now as Messi and Friends are getting ready for IDV. New Grateful Dead merch on sale at the Epicenter shop, and for ahead of the Grateful Dead themed match with Atlanta United that is going to be on Saturday. So we'll keep an eye out for that. And let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we might have missed. Once again, Timo Werner made the walk through the airport. 9 o'clock, arrived at the curb in San Jose. So he's in San Jose. Don't know if it's just going to be more than an introduction on Saturday or not, where he's wearing the number 11, but we'll find out what's going on there. Okay. That is going to do it for today, I think. Let me say hi to everybody before we get out of here. David Catalucci, Jordan, hopefully you get your flight and get out to San Jose. Morning, Wiley. And let's see. Ricky, Abby, Michael Head. Let's see. And Michael remembers visa matches in the past involving CONCACAF opponents. Morning, Lokeville. U.S. Cup starting for Atlanta. So MLS Cup competitions 2026. So it is, as we go here, that's so 2026 Campeones, and I know we need, so we don't know Campeones. What? All right, so Open Cup, U.S. Open Cup in 26, to answer your question, Lokeville. And if I can get things to cooperate, and this will be the last thing that we tackle here this morning. Tomorrow's show is stacked upon stacked upon stacked. Open Cup schedule and results. And right now, it is first round qualifying, and you're going to have the fourth qualifying round. So you're in the first round right now, and that is March 18 and 19. And It's the schedule. We need the schedule here. It's like, I need the schedule. So when would MLS teams jump into this idea? So it's going to be a couple of rounds before MLS teams hop into Open Cup, 2026 Campeones Cup, just to get the schedule there. So Campeones Cup schedule is something different. I don't want it from the league because MLS Soccer is not going to give it to me. And let's see. So Campeones Cup, I just want news. Just tell me when. That's all I want. And you're not really helping any. Let's see. So Campeones Cup, and let's see, results. Do we have a schedule for 26 out yet? Of course we don't. Okay, so have not. So Campeones Cup is probably in a position where I can take a peek at it. So 2026 League Cup is going to be, hang on. There's your format and your teams and your trophy and all the things. I just need a schedule. I'm not asking for much. I just want a schedule. I don't think I'm asking for a whole lot here. So, don't want the tournament recap. Latest, Leagues Cup is going to be August 4th through September the 6th. And all Liga MX clubs are in, and MLS clubs that are in it as well, not named Atlanta United. So the Leagues Cup does not have Atlanta United in it, and it's going to be another couple of months before Open Cup, and Atlanta United hops into that. So that's the early answers. When we have more specifics, obviously I'll pass them along. So tomorrow, once again, stack. It is Chris Dorn from Columbus, play-by-play voice for Columbus Crew at 9:10. Hopefully we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. 10 o'clock, it is Evan Weston from Apple TV. He's got San Diego and St. Louis City SC. And Ryan Feigert, the play-by-play voice of FCD, is going to join us. Ted Ramey is going to join us as well for Opposition Research as we get ready for Atlanta and San Jose on Friday. Thanks to all of y'all for hopping in this morning, as you always do. Back at it again at 9:05 tomorrow morning. We'll break it all down on a Freestyle Friday for you. And we will break it all down and get you ready for the weekend. Very, very busy weekend. Road trip for Atlanta United to San Jose. Road trip for Atlanta United 2 to go to Bern because they are not going to be – I don't think the Revs are going to be playing in Foxborough just because of everything that has to be done outside of the first team to get it ready for the tournament in the spring and the summer. Bern is on the campus of Bryant University in Smithfield, Rhode Island. It's where the Rhode Island FC team played before the stadium was built that they currently play in now. So 4,400 seater. And so it'll be in Smithfield, Rhode Island for Atlanta United 2, taking on the Revs Sunday night at 8 here on the network. So that's your rundown for today. Get you ready for tomorrow and all the things that are going with it. For everybody here at SDH, for Maddie, for Jason, for Jarrett, for Nick, for Sophia, for Vanessa, and Drew, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by. Back at it in about 21 and a half hours. And since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning.